Music Business, What Is This? Is a podcast that focuses on the ever-changing music industry and presents issues and concerns that the average and above average musician has or will encounter.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Jeremiah Hunt, and this is Music Business. What is this?
Hey, excuse me. Sorry, I'm late. Didn't mean to be late. Sometimes things just get caught up, and you know how it is. Sometimes it is what it is. All right, what are we talking about today?
Well, today's episode is gonna be, what do you do when the leader shows up late?
Hey, really? Okay, all right. I get the point. Okay. Yeah. What happens?
What happens in these situations?
Good question. Actually, usually there's this weird space.
There's this awkward thing that happens, and well, a lot of the times, the bandmates have to take on the role of the leader.
Yeah, that's pretty normal, and it's something to be ready for because it happens. Mm-hmm. It's definitely going to happen if it hasn't happened to you, and you got to think, what are you willing to do and what can you do? Right. Two different things. Mm-hmm. We all have situations that happen. There's I was stuck in traffic. I had the wrong address. What?
I haven't heard that one before.
I've had that. I've actually, it's happened to me because of like Google Maps or something. I put in one address. Mm-hmm. And it's correct, but it will sometimes switch. Like if you don't put in circle,
right,
or drive, or whatever,
Avenue.
it could be South 95th Street,
right,
and it may change to North, and you don't know if you don't really look at it,
right.
So it sounds funny, but it's real. True. What else have you heard?
Oh, my cat died.
Really? My cat died? Yeah. I've heard my dog died.
Yeah. Animal troubles. Car troubles.
Yeah. That's real. Real.
I feel like that's the most common thing. Mm-hmm. Car troubles and traffic.
Okay. So just be prepared for these things. And we just want to talk about, what do you do in these situations? Because like I said earlier, it's going to happen and you have some decisions to make. So have you been in that situation?
Yes, I most certainly have.
Okay. So what was the configuration of the band? And how late and what did you do?
So the configuration was a quartet. Mm-hmm. The band leader was the horn player. The rest was rhythm section.
Okay.
And
was it a formal gig where you had to wear suits or dress up, or was it an outdoor gig? It was more relaxed.
It was in between. Okay. Semi-formal, I would say. It was at a jazz club. Okay,
so were they expecting you to start on time?
They were expecting us to start on time, but there was a little leeway. Yeah.
Okay, so what was the start time? What was the given leeway time? And then what time did you actually start?
So the start time was 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, okay. And we're supposed to do 2 sets or one?
2 sets.
Okay.
So there was an 8 o'clock set and there was I think a 10 o'clock set.
Okay.
And the leeway time was 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Now, who gave you that? Was it like the club manager?
Yeah, the club owner.
Okay, mm-hmm. Club owner.
Mm-hmm. And by the time the leader arrived, it was about 25 to 30 minutes into the...
Okay, so let's just talk about this window of time. I think this is important for students to realize. So you're supposed to start at 8, which means you probably should be there early.
Yeah.
7:30 regardless.
Right.
So if you're planning on showing up at 8 and you start at 8, that's already a problem. Mm-hmm. But we know sometimes things happen, so you have to take that into consideration. Okay, so you're supposed to start at 8. What are you guys doing? Are you sitting around the bar in the green room, or what's going on?
Yeah, we're sitting in the green room and we're discussing the set list.
Without the leader?
No, actually with the leader, because he's on the phone.
Okay. So he's going to be late.
Yeah, they know they're going to be late.
Okay.
Already. And so the good thing about it was they were prepared to give a scenario of when I walk in, we should already be playing this. That way I can jump in and...
Okay. All right. So this leader, it sounds like it's trying to set it up where it almost looks staged.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's a good point. So this is one alternative. Depending upon how late, the leader can talk to the band on the phone and say, hey, you guys are basically the opening act for me. So then when they come in, it's looks and seems flawless and natural.
Right.
That's what it sounds like.
Right.
Okay. So back to what I was going to say about this space of time. So at this point, the club owner or manager, I'm assuming it's the manager, but it depends on the club. It's 8 o'clock. It's time to start. What did they say to you?
Generally, this particular club owner is very lenient. We, you know, we have a rapport with the club owner.
Okay. Wasn't a big issue.
It wasn't a big issue.
Okay. Was it an issue with the cats in the band?
No.
Okay.
No.
Were they? Is this something that the band is used to?
No.
That's what I'm asking. You gotta
it's
ask
a
the
very
question.
unique situation because usually this band leader is very punctual.
Well, I mean, that's good because
Yeah.
you've set a standard or a pattern, so you know, okay,
Right.
there's some type of situation.
Right.
Because if they're not normally there and it's a pattern of the opposite, usually band members take it out on you on the stage.
Yeah. Which I have had that happen.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
you know, rhythm section players.
Yep.
Okay, so back to this period of time. Supposed to start at 8, doesn't happen. 15 minutes leeway of time. Okay, so then what happens?
So after the 15 minutes, that's where we're having the conversation of, you know, they're calling and checking in every 5 minutes. Hey, we're at this, you know, we're 10 minutes away. Oh, there's traffic here. And so we have to get you know, obviously we have to talk about the set list. So they, as the band leader, give us the set list. And we have to already be on stage, sort of. And as the announcer is introducing the band, the leader comes out after maybe a minute of us playing, of the trio playing.
Okay, so that's okay. So you guys fixed that. That looks good. Depending on the situation.
Right. Yeah.
The people weren't in the audience saying, "Get up and play."
Right.
Get up and play. You know, so that's a different situation.
Yeah.
So you were able to finagle that and make it work.
Right.
And the club owner or manager was relaxed, so everything's cool.
It always doesn't work out like that, though.
Yeah, and that's interesting because you have to be prepared for these situations because different places want you to start on time.
Right.
And the question is, what are you going to do in that situation? I had a situation a year ago, and you know the whole band. We're doing an outdoor gig, and the leader, we're all there early, set up. This gig happens regularly. It's like an outdoor weekly festival gig during the summers. We're set up, ready to go. Band leader's not there. We're like, here we go again, because it's a pattern for us. The host of the festival comes to us for the third time and says, "Are you ready?" And, you know, we're just kind of like, well, the leader's not here. Well, can you do something? All right. So in this situation, we had some decisions to make. And usually in my situation, if it's a horn player, then it's rhythm section, you know, piano, bass, drums. And it automatically looks like I'm the leader because I'm the pianist.
Right.
Doesn't mean I am. It just looks that way.
Yeah.
When people see a band, it's, oh, the pianist group.
Right.
Okay. So the host asked, can you guys play something up front? So I'm like, okay, it's not uncommon. Lots of times we play a song up front anyway, depending on who the leader is. So I say, okay, there's 500 people out here. I'm going to give them a show. So I said, like it's my own show. And the guys knew my music.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a problem. So we went in, we played, did the first tune. It's okay, the leader should be here after the first tune. No leader.
Wow.
Yeah. First tune was probably about 7-8 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, so we do another tune. Crowd's into it, right? They're feeling it. finish the tune, 7-8 minutes, no band leader. Right? At this point, I'm starting to think like, okay, we can keep this up, but this is going to create a couple issues for everybody.
Yeah.
Because I've been in similar situations. One of the issues is, when does the function of the concert actually start? Does it start when the band started playing? Or does it start when the leader shows up? If you ask the musicians, they're going to say what?
It starts when the leader shows up, right?
Well, it depends. If someone is paying you to play 2 sets for an hour, and it's supposed to start at 11:30.
Right. If you start at 11:30, then it starts at 11:30.
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting at, right? But the leader doesn't show up until the 4th tune. This is where the issue comes in. If you ask the band, they're going to be like, look, I started playing at 11:30. Generally, we play an hour, 12:30, we need to stop.
Yeah.
But the issue comes in with the audience and the host, because they're paying the leader who pays you. So to them, in their mind, and this has happened on several gigs I've been on and seen it with other people, they generally think, oh, the show starts when they show up. 2 different philosophies. Right, so that's why I said this creates a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
And most leaders I've seen, depending on what instrument they play and how long they've been in the business, I've been in certain people's groups where they think the show starts when they start. Even if we played 3 songs prior.
Right.
And those 3 songs is 30 minutes. So now you have an hour set, which goes into 90 minutes. So it's something to really be aware of. What do you do when the leader shows up late? It creates a certain type of vibe there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not always cool. Some musicians just be like, I'm done at an hour. That creates another situation. Some are cool and are flexible. I've been in that. Where we say, okay, I'll do it this time. But if you're supposed to have an hour break, now that hour break is 30 minutes.
Right.
All right. So it kind of throws everything off.
Yeah. So you're speaking in terms of time, as in like, when does the show start?
Yeah.
I was still, at first, when you asked that question, I was talking about more so in like dynamic, like because if you're playing as a trio and if you start the show, and if the band leader has a whole nother, concept in mind of how he wants to direct the show, then it's going to be 2 different dynamics. It's like it might be killing as a trio. And when the band leader comes in, it's going to be a whole different thing.
It's a different thing. And that's why I bring it up. Like, even though the rhythm section is part of the group, what people are seeing and hearing, yes, it's going to be part of the entire show, but we're doing instrumentals or tunes to carry through to make sure that the contract is fulfilled.
Right
To cover our behinds and the leader, whatever that dynamic is. But the question comes down to the time.
Right.
All right.
True.
Because now the rhythm section or whoever's there has been playing for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
All right. So that has to be addressed. And that can be addressed a few different ways. Like I said, one is you could go gangster on them and be like, in an hour, I'm done, and just leave the leader up there by himself.
Right.
But then that creates another problem.
Yeah.
Another is you could play longer. And that solves the problem this time. But if it's a repetitive pattern, it's another issue.
Yeah.
All right. So you have to make some decisions. And these are good things to think about prior to the gigs, because you never know when it's going to happen. Right. And it could be a good thing. Like for me, since I do a lot of trio gigs and I happen to have cats in the group who play my music and even just arrangements, it wasn't an issue. We can play tunes. I can put on a show.
Right.
I can also just sit there and just kind of to get through. Yeah. But that's not going to help the people in the audience. It's not going to help the host.
Right.
If they see that I'm not really into it, just kind of killing time.
Right.
Right. So once again, some decisions have to be made. Are you going to say, okay, we can handle this and go in and handle it? That could be great. That could also create a weird vibe when the leader shows up. Because I've also been on gigs where we've handled it and then the leader shows up and the people in the audience, the vibe goes down. And that's weird.
Yeah.
Because then the leader's kind of like, man, what's wrong with this crowd?
Right.
And then during the break, people are coming up saying, man, those first 3 tunes were
Great.
right. And eventually they're like, what did y'all do? You know, that creates another issue.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of think about how are you going to address these issues
Yeah.
with the band leader, first of all, because that could affect your pay in a positive way or a negative way.
Yep.
I mean, if you're playing longer, most people are going to be like, yeah, I should get paid more.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
If you were working in a regular job, they would call that overtime.
Yeah, true. And a question for you. So in your situation where the band leader was late, what was the attitude of the band leader when he arrived or she?
They were frantic because they know they're late. They're showing up late. They got to walk in somehow. Is it dramatic? Do they walk down the middle of the aisle, make something out of it?
Right.
Do they come in on the side? In that situation, they were very, you could tell they were stressed. You know, so we have this other option. It's like, do we try to cool it out? Like make them feel comfortable? They're trying to put on a show, but you can tell. The audience may not be able to tell, but you can tell.
Yeah.
There's that situation, right? And then I've been in other situations where the leader shows up and they're kind of like, whatever.
Right.
You know, it's my show. And then depending on if that's with the band or the hosts, that could be, usually it's bad. Because when the host sees that, they're like, okay, after this, we don't need to hire them again.
Right.
So that's possible. It's also possible that the people, a lot of shows, not all, some are depending and they build in late start times for musicians, depending on the festival or club or whatever. Like you said, in your situation, the club owner was cool. He's probably cool because there's probably 50 years of these situations going on. And he knows stressing out is not going to help.
Right.
And the audience is not going to trip as long as they get started within 30 minutes.
Right.
Right. But it's different if you're on a festival gig and it's a lineup.
Yep.
You've got 45 minutes, 50 minutes. You got to hit and get off, turn the stage over, do line check, bam, next group.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to consider these different options. Like, what do you do? Do you say, no, we should wait for the leader? Or do you just go on?
Right.
I mean, it may be good for you to go on and play because people see you. But at the same time, if you're communicating on the phone with the leader, they may say, wait.
Right.
We don't know what their situation is. They may say, go ahead and play. They may say, wait. So that's why I bring this up. It's like, how are you going to deal with that? If they say, wait, now you could have a club manager looking at you and the rest of the band vibing you guys.
Right.
And that creates tension.
Yep.
And it's not even your fault. You happen to be there on time, ready to play.
Right.
But that's creating a problem. There's the other side of that. You could go on and play. What happens if the band leader's phone dies or they left the phone? Do you start playing? The club owner's saying, play. We're paying you to play. So you go up and play. Then the band leader comes in. It's like, why are you guys playing? I've seen that happen too.
Yeah.
Right. So there's all these different case scenarios. There's usually one of 3 or 4. And I think you have to, not that you have to, you should think about it. And that's why we're doing this podcast. What are you going to do in these situations? If you're a working musician, it's only a matter of time before you start coming across these concerns, issues and concerns. For me, I found the people who deal with them best have had the experience on another gig, or they've thought about how they would handle it according to their skill set. Right? Everybody doesn't have the same skill set. If you're good at talking to the audience, one of the things I could have done in my situation, I could have talked to them a little bit more and played. Right? I talked just enough to let them know that I'm not the band leader.
Right.
All right. Because then that gets weird.
Yeah.
You know, you're on the mic and then the band leader comes in.
Right.
And then they take over. So it creates all these weird dynamics.
Yeah.
So you want to create a situation where everything is smooth and effortlessly looking and it goes right to your advantage, where you get the call back. At the same time, you don't get fired and the club owner or manager remembers you because you started late.
Right.
Right. So there's these things, you know, we want to bring to your attention. And our stories are here to help you. So today's episode was about what do you do when the band leader shows up late?
And it will happen.
Yes, it's going to happen.
So make sure you're prepared.
Exactly. All right. It's been a pleasure. His name is Jeremiah Hunt.
And his name is Richard Johnson.
This is Music Business.
What is this?
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you later.
Peace.
This program is partially supported by a grant from the Illinois Arts Council Agency.